Hey everyone, I just wanted to talk about a car I just bought. It's a 2017 Volkswagen Golf. This is the car right here. So nice and shiny, fresh from the dealership. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I like and some of the things that I don't like. I think this car is really underrated. I don't know why. I don't know why nobody is buying the Golf. I guess everybody wants the GTI and the R. They want to go fast. Now I guess that's fine, no problem with that. I got the beige interior. I love the interior. It's faux leather, which is actually the same as that I had with my BMW. It was faux leather, so basically the same. I'm really surprised at how similar this car is to my BMW. It feels, there are so many design cues that were inspired by BMW, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. All I know is every time I get behind the wheel of this car, it feels like a cheaper version of the BMW. Although I have to say, at its core, this car is more like a Honda Civic. I got behind the wheel of my BMW after driving this car, and there's no comparison. The Beamer is way better in terms of driving characteristics. It feels way solid. It feels much better constructed, much safer. Feels heavier. The braking was a hell of a lot better. So the Beamer is better in every way, shape, and form. This car, the Beamer felt like it was more at home for really long drives. And that was great because when I lived in Seattle, that's what I did. I did a lot of long driving. It took me an hour and a half to get to work. It would take me 40 minutes to get to my exercise spot. I put 26,000 miles every year on my car and my BMW in the 2 years that I owned it. So yeah, I did quite a bit of driving. Here in Vegas, I had the car for about 3 months, and the battery died. And I don't know if it was died because of all the short little trips that I take here in Vegas, or whether the battery was just old. And the fact that the temperatures here were really hot didn't help either. I did wind up replacing the battery, but I sold the car, so I never got a chance to see how it performed afterwards. But yeah, I mean, hopefully this car, the braking is more like a Honda Civic. The braking is not very good. Actually, this car has some of the worst brakes I've ever had in any car I've ever owned. Not only does it not grip that great compared to, say, my Honda Civics or my Toyota Corolla, but the brakes are they're also kind of hard to modulate. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're hard to modulate. And I guess I'm starting with the complaints. So yeah, since I'm talking about on the subject of the brake pedals, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's the brake, and the accelerator is right here. The distance between this accelerator pedal and this brake pedal is the largest I've ever experienced. So if I want to go from the accelerator to the brake, I have to lift my foot up, then move it over, and I have to lift my foot up quite a bit. In most cars, I don't have to lift my foot up that much. I mean, yeah, normally the brake is a little bit higher than the accelerator pedal, but usually not by too much. In this car, it's a lot, which means I have to pull my seat back a little farther. I guess it doesn't help that years ago I broke my right ankle, and it never healed properly, so I actually can't pull my ankle up as much as a normal person can. So that doesn't help in my favor either. So I got that problem going, and I guess since I'm talking about things that I don't like, yeah, the Apple CarPlay. A lot of people like the Apple CarPlay. I compared the audio quality that I was getting with the Apple CarPlay compared with the traditional, how do you say this this clumsy looking thing right here. And this is hooked up through the normal aux cable, the 3.5 millimeter cable. There's also a USB in there, and then there's a little charger here. So I'm using this thing, and this actually provides me with much better musical sound quality than the Apple CarPlay. The Apple CarPlay, for some reason, it really lacked bass, and I didn't like the sound at all. And so I really don't understand why people are, unless this car's Apple Play is different from others people's Apple CarPlay, or maybe it's just this car. I don't know what it is, but it sounds terrible. Yeah, maybe, I mean, I can understand why people will use it for talking. I mean, I don't use my phone a whole hell of a lot, so I don't have a whole hell of a lot of friends. But yeah, I mean, that's Apple CarPlay is something that I don't use. I play a lot of music in my car. I listen to a lot of tunes while I'm driving, and so music quality is really important to me. And the sound system on this car is not bad. I should say it's quite good. I guess there's got to be judging from the bass I get, there's got to be a subwoofer somewhere. I don't know where it is. In some of the other previous cars that I looked at, the subwoofer was situated inside the spare tire. The little Fender sound system. I don't think this is Fender. It doesn't say Fender anywhere around here. Let's see. Nope, doesn't say Fender. So yeah, but I mean, I get plenty of ample bass, so I know there's a subwoofer around here somewhere. I just don't know where it is. It's currently sitting at 15,300 miles. I've had the car for a week now. I drove it from Van Nuys, California, here to Vegas. I love the fact that I have the touchscreen menu. This car has oil temperature, which is something that my BMW didn't have. I mean, it had it, but it was hidden in the menus. I'm getting 30 miles to the gallon. You know, I'm averaging about 30 miles to the gallon, 38 miles to the gallon on freeway, which is really, really good. It's real, and I'm also very happy that this car uses regular gas instead of premium. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that so much more. And also, this car has a dipstick, which my BMW didn't have, and I can actually see the quality of the oil as well as the levels. The BMW just told me the oil level. It didn't tell me if the oil was dirty or not, and that bothered me. So, and you can also see this has a temperature gauge, which is something that my BMW did not have, and that also really bothered me. The lights, this is exactly the way my BMW worked. It had an automatic, and then another switch, and another switch. And then this center dial also, this center console thing, this is also something that my BMW had. So this is taken pretty much straight out of my other car. At least it feels like it. I guess I'll show you some other parts. This is my BMW has this exact same feature. It has the light and the mirror. The rain sensor here, that's exactly what my BMW had. There's a rain sensor here. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that or not, but oh well. Anyways, I love the fact that I have this. You know, this car's got a million little creature comforts that I really, really appreciate. I love this sunglass holder here. I've always wanted this, and I never had it in my car. I love the fact that I can go with a tilt and still have some airflow. This thing is kind of a mesh, and it kind of bothers me that I don't have a solid sunroof blocker to keep the sun out, especially living here in Vegas where it gets really hot. But I do appreciate this mesh because I can get sunlight and not get sunlight. It offers some level of protection. This tilts and it opens, by the way, and it's pretty good size. So, and this car also has a compass, which I appreciate. I've used it a couple of times. This is the glove box. There's a little CD player in here. That's also where the in-cabin air filter is. The BMW, oh boy, that in-cabin air filter was over by the engine. It required tools to remove. It was just an absolute pain in the ass. This is much easier to replace. So I'm gonna pop the engine now. I'm gonna pop the hood now and show you what that looks like. I got these little custom red caps here. This is it. I don't know why they put the battery in this little felt box like that. It just looks funny. I've never seen any other car company do that before, but it is what it is. Dipstick, thank you so much. I appreciate that. This is the low pressure for the air condition. I need to buy some windshield fluid. So I'm going to take this off. I might paint this white at some point. This is a funny looking ball here. The dealership put way too much fluid in there. I got to take some of that out. You're supposed to be between here and here. That's, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I added a little, I don't know if you can see that or not, I added a little plaid, MK7 plaid to that mirror. A little bit of style. I also did a little styling to the steering wheel as well. Back seats. My BMW had these little vents as well. It had these little covers. Some seat. I like the felt they put here for the drink holders. It makes it quiet. Of course, this is a hatch. I like the lights here. Too bad they're not LED, but it is what it is. Dual exhaust pipes, nice little chrome exhaust tips. You've got the hatch, the flexible hatch, that's what I wanted. And this one came with the cargo protection system. I've always wanted these blocks. I love this. It's got the Velcro on it. You're supposed to put it together. I don't think I put it together right, but it is what it is. I'll figure it out later. I've got a sleeping mat here just in case. I've actually tested it out, and I can put this seat back, and there is enough space for me to sleep. So I've got this inflatable, and I've also got this camp pillow, just in case I decided to sleep back here. You never know when you need to sleep. Yeah, so I mean, this comes down. I've got my camp chair, and I really love these bags. I've always wanted these bag clips. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you've got these plastic bags. Well, this is it right here. This is a clip. This is also 12 volt. But it gives a bag here, and there's also another bag clip here. And then this is a center, just in case you decide you've got some fishing poles or something that you want to put down the center. So yeah, the things that I like, this is the lumbar adjuster. I'll talk about the positives of what things I really like about this car. I like the styling. I like the colors. I think it's super stylish. The tint is not too heavy. I really like the looks. I got the Wolfsburg Edition there. I like the sound system. I love the ride down the road. It's very compliant. The car feels very lightweight. This is the kind of car that's fun to drive in the twisties because I feel like I can toss the car into the corners. No problem. This car is very spirited. It's very fun to drive. How does it compare with my BMW? It's hard to compare because it's very different. The BMW felt so solid, so quiet. It just had a very different driving characteristic. Like going out this you know, this is Paradise Road. Now just going onto Paradise Road, it's a right turn because it's only one way. This car, I can just dart into Paradise Road, turn right, and then accelerate very quickly. Whereas with my BMW, it felt more awkward because it was heavier. But in inclement weather, I can see my BMW doing a lot better than this car because the BMW had a perfect 50-50 front to back weight distribution. And that made the car more predictable in its handling. So in icy weather, snowy weather, I think my BMW would do much better than this car. I haven't had a chance to try this car in snowy or wet weather. And I don't think I'd want to. I think the back end, I can see the back end of this car going out much more easily and much more unpredictably in icy weather compared with my BMW. But I haven't, you know, like I said, I haven't tried that yet. Going over bumps, this car is incredible. It's a dream. I'd say it's a wash. This car is remarkably quiet. I can see how it was inspired by the BMW. Very quiet, very compliant ride. There's definitely more vibration. You know, I'll turn the car on and I can actually feel more vibrations. And I think part of that is because it's a really small car and it has a very short wheelbase. But yeah, I mean, this car, as far as going over bumps, it's great. The engine feels quieter. The BMW had a 6-cylinder engine. This one has a 4-cylinder turbo. And just at idle, this car feels quieter, although it vibrates more. And there is this little mod that a lot of people are doing. It's called a dog bone mount or something. It seems to be, people talk about it being one of the best mods that you can do for this car. And I guess it's pretty simple to do. You just basically want to go under the car and there's this big screw that you want to do. You'll loosen it up, you take it out, you put the dog bone, and then you screw it back in and it's done. And I guess it's not even that expensive. But I guess that supposedly tightens things up. It makes the ride feel more cohesive, a little tighter, and gives you a little better control. So that might be something I'll do a little later on. Right now I just got this car. I just got it registered the other day. So I mean, first things first, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And so I actually still have to mount the steering wheel, license plate on the front of the car. So I mean, these are basic things that I get out of the way first. I did do some things like this little plaid on the steering wheel. This is from KLII.com. I thought that was kind of cute. I tried to modify this start engine. I bought a red one that it was just a sticker that went on top, and that didn't work at all. It looked terrible. I'm just going to throw that away. Take that, chalk that one up as a loss, as something that just didn't work. So yeah, things I love about this car. I love the look. I love the flat bottom steering wheel. I've always wanted this flat bottom steering wheel. It looks sporty. And you know, people say, oh, it makes it easier to get in and out. I've never had problems getting in and out of the car. For me, it's not a matter of in and out. It's a matter of sitting here and just driving. You know, I mean, being able to do this, you know, and not hit the wheel, that to me is important because you only get in and out of the car once, and then you're spending X amount of time driving, and then you're steering and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it feels a little weird, by the way, when I am steering, because you're grabbing it and then all of a sudden, instead of a round wheel, all of a sudden it's flattening out, and that does feel a little bit weird. But to me, it's sitting here and actually driving the car. That's what I appreciate the most about this flat bottom. It's not the getting in and out. So yeah, and one thing I'm surprised about this car is, and I've seen other reviewers talk about this, is how the car wants to go. And the car is always constantly going into a higher gear. And I find that's the case with me, with this car. It does want to get up and go. And it's very spirited. Acceleration is very spirited. I've got these little miniature paddle shifters here. I didn't even know these were here until I started looking for it. Kind of weird. So I guess I tried it one time. It was interesting. Yeah, I went into a lower gear, and that was fun. But yeah, I mean, this has got the traditional parking brake, so that's good for you drifters out there, I suppose. I'm not into that thing, but if you are into drifting, I guess that's good for you. Yeah, I love the way the car it accelerates. It actually feels like well, does it accelerate faster than my BMW? My previous car was a BMW, and before that, it was a Honda Civic Si. So how does this car compare? It's 170 horsepower, 200 foot-pounds of torque. The engine feels really torquey. I'll say that. Driving up and down the street, I can actually feel, I mean, the car actually shakes a little bit, and that, I think that's a combination of factors. The engine is very torquey, and the car is very lightweight, and it's really small too. So I can see how the engine would be shaking this car a little more than say a BMW or even a Honda Civic Si, which is about 3,000 pounds. I believe this car is about 2,800 pounds, which is one of the lighter cars that I've ever had. My old 91 Toyota Corolla was probably lighter than this car, but it also didn't have a lot of the safety features that this car has. This car has these airbags galore. Airbags there on the side. Airbags everywhere. So yeah, things I love about this car: the acceleration, the handling is great. I'm back to a dipstick. I'm back to regular gas. The creature comforts, the being able to store my sunglasses, the bag hooks in the back. The air conditioning's not particularly cold, even for a car, even though this car is only about 3 years old, and it's certified, by the way. So I get it. The original warranty is 3 years, 36,000 miles. Because it's certified pre-owned, it's an additional 2 years, 24,000 for basic and for the powertrain. So that's good. So the car was purchased in the middle of 2016, in October of 2016, excuse me, which means the original. So we're in November of 2019 now, which means the original warranty has expired as far as the basic. But I get 2 more years because it's certified pre-owned, so that's good. I get 2 more years, and I know the miles is covered because this car only has 15,000 miles on it. So it was 3 years, 36, and then it's going to be 5 years. What is it? 50,000 miles? But I'm not anywhere near 50,000, so it's going to be 2 years. And then, of course, it's going to be 7 years, 72,000 miles for the powertrain, which is good. I don't know if that covers the gaskets or not. It's just a matter of time before that gasket starts leaking. Every single car develops a gasket leak at some point, and that's always expensive to fix. I don't expect the coils and the spark plugs to be changed as often as my BMW. The BMW pretty much needed new plugs, new coils every 50,000 or every 25 to 50,000. What was it? Yeah, about every 50,000 miles. That's a higher performance car. So this is hopefully this car is. I'm hoping this. I bought a Golf because I'm hoping it's less maintenance than my BMW, but I definitely appreciate the German engineering and the luxury, the upscale feel of this car. That was the reason I bought this car. I wanted something upscale, and then something with a nice interior, but I also wanted something that was more practical than my BMW, and that wasn't as expensive as my BMW to maintain, because that BMW was a bear. I mean, that thing was really, really expensive. I put so much money into that thing, it wasn't even funny. Probably $67,000 into it, and I bought it for 10.6. So, although I have to say the BMW was the best car I've ever owned in my entire life, by bar none. The brakes on that thing were huge. It was enormous. Those discs were like 3 inches. I mean, thick. I mean, they were so good. That car would stop on a dime, and it handled beautifully too. And it probably kept me from getting in an accident during the snowstorm of February of this year in Seattle. So kudos to BMW, the German engineering, for that. That was really good. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, those are the pluses and the minuses that I have for this car. Overall, I love this car still, even though, I'm not happy with the brakes. I think I might look into a mod. I guess people say that, you can get the brakes for the Golf R. I guess that's a direct bolt-on for this car, so I might be looking into that in the future. That's probably the biggest problem I have with this car, is the brakes. If I can upgrade the brakes, that'd be great. If I get new rims, that'd be great too. I don't see too many people getting really nice, fancy rims with their Golfs. A lot of people tend to stick with the standard rims, even for the GTIs or even the Rs. So that might be something I get down the line. Right now I've got Continentals, which I love on this car. That's how it came. But I might get some, eventually the tires are going to need replacing. So I might get some new rims when I get new tires. We'll see what happens. It depends on how things look. But yeah, I mean, so far so good. Great handling. Great, very spirit acceleration. I can't complain with that. Well, this thing doesn't compete with the GTIs or the Rs or the Mitsubishi Evos or even Honda Civic Si. I think off the line that those are a little bit quicker. But in terms of everyday real world driving, this car is very fun to drive, very spirited. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think I've pretty much covered just about everything, the pluses and the minuses. So hopefully this will help some people if you're thinking about buying a Golf. So far, I'd recommend it. If you can get an 18, get that one. That one comes with a standard, what is it? 6 years, 72,000 mile warranty for the basic and the powertrain. And if you find an 18 that's certified, that's an additional 1 year, 12,000 miles. So that will give you 8 years, 84,000 miles warranty. So if you can get that one, that's much better. The 19, I believe, also has that warranty. I'm not really sure, but that one's a little more expensive right now because those are new. The 2020 Golfs, GTIs and Rs included, they're going down to a 5-year warranty. So that's something to take into consideration. So if you're choosing between, although the MK8s are nice, so they have the newer styling, they have the flatter design. Some people might like it, some people might not like it. Personally, I don't like it. I like this older style better. I'm old school, but I am older, so yeah. I mean, the newer cars, the MK8s, they have the big 12-inch screen across, the dynamic screen that can change and whatnot. It tells you a lot more information. And I guess their design is fancier too. They've got the LEDs going underneath and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, if you can get if you can get an 18 or a 19, that's better. The 19s have instead of a 1.8 liter, they have a 1.4 liter for some reason, and they dropped the horsepower down to 148 horsepower for whatever reason. But I guess they have a slightly better transmission. I think it's a 7-speed or an 8-speed transmission, It's better than the 6-speed. I'm not a big fan. You know, that's actually some. I'm glad that's something I'm not a fan of. This car's transmission is actually not that great. I can feel it at low speeds. This transmission, some of the gear changes are pretty abrupt. They're pretty clunky. It's you know, that's only at low speeds. When this car is up and going already, the transmission is smooth. The BMW, that transmission was so good. That thing was smooth as silk, no matter what. No matter what speed you're at, whether you're stopped or just in stop and go traffic. In this car in stop and go traffic, oh boy, this transmission is hit or miss. You might have some pretty jarring gear changes. So that's one thing that I forgot to mention about one of the things that I don't like about this car. The 6-speed transmission is not great. So I guess that's one reason why this car is more like a Honda Civic at its core, as opposed to, say, a more luxury car like a BMW. Even though this car has a lot of luxury features like the BMW, it's fancy, and it's got the nice interior, but and some of the driving characteristics like the handling, the quiet cabin, they remind me very much of the BMW. Even this car, when it cruises, it gets up to about 35-40 miles an hour. My BMW would have a certain sound. The transmission, the wheels, the car would give off a certain sound. And this car does the exact same thing, which it totally reminds me of my BMW. But then I'll hit the brakes, and then I'll be, have the clunky transmission, and I'll be like, it's not a BMW. That'll remind me put me back in my place, remind me of that this is just a little Volkswagen. But then again, this car doesn't cost as much as a BMW either. So, okay, this is long enough. Hopefully, if you made it to this far in the video, thanks so much for watching, and see you later.